So I'm very excited to be joined by an artist that I have been following the journey of for quite some time through two albums now. I am with TVAM. Joe, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Thank you.
Second album's finally out there. It's been some wait, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been some weight. It's been just been sat on it. Just been just been umming and ahhing what to do with it. Now, yeah, it's been a long time, but it's nice to have it out finally.
Was it pandemic affected, basically?
As with most people's lives and other things, yeah, it was pandemic affected.
Yeah, like real life gets in the way sometimes, doesn't it? I hear you
It,
on that.
it does. There's no escape.
But you know what? We are here. We have a brand new album to listen to and talk about. And I'm so hyped that I get to see a little bit of like a home kind of setup there with the TV. I remember you
Mm,
wheeling that out on stage back in the really early days, trying to fit that in the back of your car. You've come a long way.
yeah, yeah. I've come a long way. It's just fitting other stuff in the car now. It's just the same problem, different stuff. But yeah, he's probably glad that it's not getting battered about these days. He's quite happy just to sort of sit out his time there on the stand.
I mean, you've come like from I remember you playing a full band show with amazing visuals for me at Band on the Wall like a few years ago as well. But how
Yeah,
does it feel to be back with a second album out on Invada Records as well?
yeah, it's amazing. It's been great. I mean, Invader have been so cool with it, and it's nice to kind of have that label behind you, and the new records out. And as well, I mean, more importantly than that, it's nice to be out playing shows again. It's one of those things where like I've really missed it. Um, and we've got like a setup with the three of us, which kind of feels right for it. I mean, with this record, it's a louder record than the other one. And I think it's one where it needs that sort of energy of a full band behind it. So it's been great. That's been really good to be, the couple of shows done so far. It's been just been great to be back out there.
You have such a unmistakable sound though from the guitars and the kind of aesthetic that rumbles through as well. I mean, it's always been there since the beginning, and it just how hard is it kind of keep that in the sound so that people like instantly recognize that it's TVAM?
I don't know. I mean, like, obviously some of it's just like, the gear that you use, just the kind of the sounds that you enjoy making and what you kind of, I don't know what you latch onto. Um, but at the same time, it's one of those where I'll start using different stuff and it'll still somehow miraculously find its way to sounding like TVM in the end. Um, so yeah, I think it's probably just my ears. It's just it's just whatever that leads things towards.
I mean, you've had so much love on the local scene of late, Piccadilly Records, absolutely adoring you, lots of radio love across the board. And I know it is so welcome because of how hard you were working. You were literally a one-man band, like when I first came
Yeah,
across you.
yeah.
So, does it feel like it's giving you more opportunity now to really build on that, like you say, more extensive lineup? Working with an edgy label that really gets you and is perfectly placed to kind of sell the kind of music that you're making.
Definitely. I mean, it's like, I think the difference now is that it's kind of I've managed to find myself surrounded by people that just are really cool and are really like, supportive and up for some fun with it. You know what I mean? And certainly that with the label, with the band, you know what I mean? With like Jason and Liam with it, it's like it's just been a lot of fun. A lot of fun sort of being involved with everyone and yeah, it's been a good time. It's been nice to have that. And certainly it feels like it's picking it back up again. It's just really cool.
So when you were writing and recording High Art Lite, did the other band members have a role in the recording of that? I know back when you were making Psychic Data, it was more of a one kind of solo project, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, well, when it comes to that side of it, it's sort of it's just that it is that kind of solo thing where it's like, I'll write things myself and have that. I think mainly because I suppose my just the writing process and just how I kind of come about it, it's always kind of clicked for me just to kind of have it all there and do it in that way. Um, and then I suppose with it, it's that thing where there's a difference to kind of making a record and performing those songs in front of people. Um, and it's right, like when I started out, the TVM, it wasn't. I think when I started it, I didn't necessarily see it like a band. Like it had to be a music thing. It could be like a visual thing. It could be a whatever. Um, and I was always more comfortable playing like just weird spaces and stuff that weren't necessarily venues. It was just like find somewhere to go and get people down there. Um, but I suppose as it's gone on and as things sort of have changed, uh, it's felt right and it's felt easier to have other people involved in it and just have fun with it.
Artwork looks quite explosive, I have to say, and the vinyl package looks really, really colourful. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, no, it's one of those. I feel like I made a pop record, so it's kind of you gotta. There's no point in beating around the bush. You just got to go full in, all in on it. So yeah, like I think that I was sort of looking at that kind of imagery and just that idea, and I think some of the themes of it, where it's like because it's so loud and because it's so kind of it has all the kind of poppiness to it and the big melodies and things like that. I thought like I just want something that kind of hits those marks. And for me, it feels like it's like part it's part kind of summer holiday. It's part kind of just garish like theme park kind of aspect to it as well. That I was just drawn to it. So yeah, so it's great. And it's really nice work. I worked with a guy called Chris Reeder, who helped with the layout and putting things together and stuff. And it was weird. It's weird. I've never quite found someone who can sort of lodge their place in my brain and just understand what I'm trying to get at. Because it's usually just me just rambling on for ages trying to get people to understand me. But he just got it, and yeah, I'm just really pleased at how that's turned out. So yeah, it's the cover art for my pop record.
Pop record, High Art Light. Why that title then?
I suppose there's a lot of reasons to it, and I think what I found that with myself, I kind of just like I just like wordplay, and I like the way certain things sound, and it's almost as if I'll learn more from meaning, over time than I will necessarily from that point of thinking like I want to make a statement. This is what I want to say, and this is how I'm going to say it. It's almost like finding that thing in reverse. Um, but yeah, I think in some ways, like there are songs on the album where it's about that idea that people think that I suppose it's questioning the art that we all make ourselves as artists, as musicians, as other things, how other people see it, how we see it ourselves, and a lot of that play. But I think there's a wider thing you can kind of say to it where I suppose it's how everyone, puts themselves out there, be it social media or in person or whatever, just that they're kind of playing at it, and some of those things. But yeah, it's one of those ones where I like a lot of it, and like a lot of the songs that I write and lyrics and things like that, it'll be weird. I'll come back to it in like a year or so and find it like, oh, maybe it was about this, maybe it was about whatever. Yeah, it's kind of coming around to it and finding new meaning.
I always feel like you have a really strong stream of consciousness when it comes to like image, digital imagery and social media. You've always had a really strong vision though. Do you think that like comes natural to you? Because I know for a lot of artists, they have to really work at that side of things.
I think if I'm honest, it can sometimes feel like that side's the easy bit for me because um it's not there's any pressure with either writing music or making film videos or whatever. It's not like that. It's just that I suppose there are elements to it where like I'll find it easy to kind of have a melody in my head and I can instantly follow that up and do that and kind of dot it out. I suppose I kind of like there's always a time where it's kind of you're constructing something and it's that moment of like, okay, when do you walk away from it? When do you feel it's done? but with the visuals, it feels so quick because I almost feel I almost have those images or have those kind of ideas or those themes or whatever it is. It's already there in my head when whilst those melodies are kind of knocking around. So that side of it that's almost the easy bit, weirdly enough.
Have you been taking visuals out on the tour dates that you've done so far since the album came out?
Yeah, I mean all that's it's still a massive part of it. And I think it's just it's it's just that it's moved on to sort of more making sure places have got a projector there than just on the sort of CRT TV and stuff. Um, but that's the size of it. I mean, it's like if you're playing bigger venues and stuff, it's difficult. I always, although there's a part of me that would like to just make the sort of 10 people at the front have like a really special gig where they can see the visuals on the telly. It doesn't really work for the rest of the audience, so it's nice to have like a big screen on there.
Really does build the intensity as well. I mean, you've got some more shows coming up. Where are you going to be playing?
Yeah, well, we're this Wednesday we're at Hare and Hounds Birmingham, and then after that we're going to be at um, High Park Book Club in Leeds. We're going to be up at in Edinburgh. We're going to be at White Hotel Salford, Green Door Store at Brighton, and Oslo Hackney in London.
Some really industrial-esque spaces in that list. Is that intentional? You're trying to bring
It
that
wasn't. It
rawness?
wasn't at all. It wasn't at all. We'll play some country clubs next time, but I mean, yeah, it just seemed to be fortuitous, kind of how it's aligned in that way.
Of course, and still the odd ticket available, hopefully, if you quit.
Yeah. So, but if you quick, but yeah, it'd be nice to see everyone down there. It's been great. Like, played at Future Yard in Birkenhead last weekend. And we just got back from Glasgow as well. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to taking it to around the place.
So we've heard a number of, obviously the album's out now, but we've had a few singles that we've been spinning a lot at Amazing Radio of late. Double Lucifer, and the latest one is Semantics. What can you tell us about
Mm.
that?
Yeah, I mean it's funny. I think it's always like a tricky one where it comes down to which songs you pick as singles, which you kind of putting out there. And I've enjoyed the fact that from this record that like each single that's put out, it's kind of got its own particular sound, its own particular I don't know thing with it really. But like Semantics, yeah, it's that sense of kind of the calm before the storm almost. Where for a lot of it, it's just quite a happily kind of going about its business, and it just kind of gets to a point where it can't do that any longer. And then it kind of goes all out. Um, but yeah, it was an interesting one. It was like that was quite a fun one. That it's strange because a lot of the song, there's throughout the course of the album, there's certain songs that were written and they were ready to a degree, sort of back on like the Psychic Data tour, and there's ones that kind of came after that. And Semantics, I suppose, was one of the earliest ones that were still knocking around that time. Um, so yeah, it's been one that sort of for me it's been knocking around for a while, but for everyone else to kind of just caught it recently. But that's this. I suppose it's one of my favorite ones playing live. I have to say.
Got to admit, I felt as soon as I heard it, like this feels familiar. Have I heard this before? And it may have been that I'd heard you playing it live. I was like, I can't place it, but it sounds really familiar. And it does feel like a
Possibly.
really natural stepping stone after Psychic Data as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's I mean writing is such a weird thing because for me, there's not singers like right. This is a cut-off point. This is the end of an album. This is a new album or anything. Songs just kind of come as and when they're gonna come. And so I think for the album, it's nice that there's kind of a mixture. Although it's different in its own way to Psychic Data. Um, there's still certain similarities that are present in both records.
I mean, we talked about Invader Records or already, but like the fact that like Jeff Barrow from Beak and Portishead obviously like runs the label, well, co-runs the label. Like, does that really inspire you that you're working with musicians that, like really legendary musicians, that simple?
Well, there's that little thing in the back of your mind where you think like, oh no, I'm gonna have to like put some effort in now. It's gonna have to work out. But at the same time, like Jeff's so sound that like it's hard to really feel that way at all. Um, I mean, he's really supportive, as are the rest of the label. And I think that it was ace like when we were doing Psychedata tour, we played with Beak on a couple of shows. Um, I think we did. I think I did one like a solo one with them in was it Oxford, I think, and then we did one where me and Jason were playing as a duo, and we played with them in Paris. And they're just dead nice both times. You know what I mean? Just really welcoming, really kind of that. And yeah, it's just been really cool because obviously since then there was kind of, you know, got in touch and sort of showed that sort of interest that to sort of see what was going on and when the record was ready. Like they were there and ready and still, still wanting to help out and stuff. So yeah, it's been sound. Just such nice guys, and it's like it's a real like fun label to be a part of.
Got to admit, right, one of my favorite reviews of your album describes your music as a prowling gothtronics. I think gothtronics is just amazing. On
That's a
Piswin.
it's really weird. There's nothing stops that stuff being really weird when you start reading other people's like how they hear your music. It's so weird.
Do you
It's
read the
nice. I think
reviews?
it's really it's really nice though, but it's just so strange.
Do you feel like you can read the reviews or do you try and shy away from it?
I think you gotta be in the right frame of mind, but I also think like I think there is a part of it for me. I think you have to read them, good or bad, whatever. I think it's a bit, you know, I think you just have to realize like it's not crucial to understanding your music. It's just it helps to understand a part of it, and that's all. Um, but yeah, because otherwise you'd miss out on reading reading exclamations like that. So yeah.
So obviously you've got some more shows coming up, but what else is ahead for this year for TVAM?
Well, I mean, as much as there's a new album that's only just come out, more writing, um, that kind of part of it just keeps going. So I think that's it for now. It feels like I'm back in lots of ways, so it's nice and it's just kind of carrying on with it.
It's good to have you back, man. Really is. Another great album. I really feel like you've grown in confidence in this album. It sounds like you've grown into your sound as well. Do you feel like this is a true reflection of where you're at now in your musical journey?
Yeah, I think that's a good sort of summation of it. It's like I think that it took a while to feel like the sound was kind of coming together, but I mean, with that, it was great working with James Trevascus at Invada, who mixed the record, um, because it's really funny when, like he says himself, like he didn't do that much on it, but it was just enough to kind of, sort of take it over there. And it helped really because I think, like I said, I work as a solo artist and writing and recording, doing those kinds of things. And sometimes when you're so in it surrounds you and it's hard to kind of get a clear sight on it. So that's when James kind of came in and we started bouncing things off each other on it, and it was great because like the moment when when James realized like he could turn everything up and it would still sound good, that was the moment like it really clicked. So yeah, according to him, it's the loudest album on Invader. So that's it doesn't matter. You can keep your tens out of ten. It doesn't matter now. That's all that matters.
That